been a normal day for crypto. From everything from Davos to the Clarity Act to the price going up and down chaotically, we have no clue what's about to happen. But we did have Brad Garlinghouse come out and say that crypto will hit all-time highs this year, directly from the Ripple CEO's mouth. There's a lot going on, and we're going to cover everything. I went through the entire panel this morning, or earlier this afternoon. I went through the entire panel that we had with the WEF, but a lot more information has come out. I have more clips for you. I have partnerships from Ripple, and I also have exciting new information about the Clarity Act. So we're going to get through all of it. I appreciate you for being here. Sign off in the chat, engage in the chat. It is the lifeblood of the stream. I will talk with every single person, but let's see what we're dealing with right this moment. So price has been very chaotic today. It shot straight up this morning and then came straight back down. And then as soon as Brad came out and announced new all-time highs, so essentially this is how this played out. This morning, the panel came out, and Brian Armstrong from Coinbase said the key phrase, the Bitcoin standard, and every, you should go to Bitcoin and all this. And then boom, Bitcoin spiked and the entire crypto market spiked. And then it had a sell-off. And then Brad Garlinghouse came out and said crypto is going to have all-time highs. And then boom, crypto spiked. And now we're selling off again. We need to hold EMA 9 and continue to push past $2 and reclaim that 205 level. If we don't reclaim the 205 level, it will fall back down. And again, 175 is our support that we have laid out. But tons of information today. Canton Network still doing good. We are following Canton. It's up 17% today, but everything has recovered today after everything that's happened at Davos. So what exactly has happened at Davos? Well, we have a lot. Trump spoke, Larry Fink spoke, Brian Armstrong is popping off hard. I don't know what his deal is today, but I mean, whatever. It's very clear on my channel. If you're new, I don't like Brian Armstrong, but that's neither here nor there. We are going to start with what President Trump himself had to say about the Clarity Act and what's coming. Let's see what he had to say.
To unleash innovation in savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. And to that end, last year, I signed the landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom.
All right, well, that's not really saying much, but what's more important is what's said right above it is Senator Cynthia Loomis is saying, right on, Mr. President, we need to get this across the finish line. We're going to touch on this later as I come back through the information. And welcome, everyone. I see you coming in. Please engage in the chat. Let me know what's going on. Let's get this thing rolling. Hit the like button, share it out far and wide so we can grow this stream today because we have a ton of information. New all-time highs coming, according to Brad Garlinghouse anyway. We'll cover that here in just a second, but let's see what Larry Fink had to say. Let me get this pulled up for you here, and we'll see what he had to say.
Moving towards tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about. But that being said, the activities are probably processed and more secure than ever. I think the movement towards tokenization.
What is that blockchain he's referring to, everyone? He wants to tokenize everything on one blockchain to make it easier. Well, there's only a couple A couple blockchains that can handle that, right? There's only a couple that can handle that type of infrastructure that we've been talking about. XRP is one of them. But who has direct backing from BlackRock in this field that we've been discussing? Canton Network. Again, this is why we read the tea leaves. This is why we connect the dots. This is why we have more than one investment. But when Larry Fink's coming out and saying he wants to tokenize everything on one blockchain to help reduce corruption, if that doesn't make your head explode, I don't know what will. I mean, that just puts potentially one person in control of everything if they do put it on the Canton Network. But that's what makes me nervous when it comes to that. So tokenization is moving forward. And if Larry Fink has his way, it's all going to be tokenized, all in one blockchain, all under their control. That is a scary proposition. But that is what they're trying to do. All right, Eleanor Tourette says the new Senate Ag Committee is poised to reveal the latest crypto bill text. Banking is in a holding pattern on its markup, but Senate Ag is expected to move forward with its vote next week and release the latest legislative text. So the banking markup is not done, but the Senate Ag is trying to push theirs through. They seem to be done. We should have that information soon. So Clarity Act is working through. Will it be done by the end of Q1? I'm still not hopeful. I think it'll be done before the midterms, but I don't think it's going to get done before Q1. But it is advancing. Brian Armstrong was talking about it today. Earlier in the panel, there was a little bit of talk about legislation in the panel, but we got more. Don't worry, we got a lot of more. Cynthia Loomis says, real progress requires real coalition. Building the Clarity Act brings together voices across digital asset ecosystem and who are ready to move forward. We have the administration, we have the momentum. What we need now is action before the opportunity slips away. And Patrick Witt says, no bill is better than a bad bill. What a privilege to be able to say those words thanks to President Trump. So yes, they are working on, this is a repeat of what he was saying earlier. It's just someone else posting about the World Economic Forum. Binance will list RLUSD. Oh, I'm not in screen view. Excuse me, my bad. Binance will list RLUSD. Let's see here. Oh gosh, yeah, we have to listen to this. Hang on, let me get this up for you. Here we go.
Would become a truly global order. And it.
Sorry about that. I muted the wrong thing. My fault. Here it is.
Was the year of the so-called Nixon shock. And the decision to delink the US dollar from gold. In an instant, the foundations of the Bretton Woods system and the entire global economic order set up after the war effectively collapsed. But it also had two major effects. It inadvertently created the conditions for what would become a truly global order, and it provided a sharp lesson for Europe and on the need to strengthen its economic and political power. It was a warning to reduce our dependencies, in this case, on a foreign currency. The world may be very different today, without any question, but I believe the lesson is very much the same. That geopolitical shocks can and must serve as an opportunity for Europe. And in my view, the seismic change we are going through today is an opportunity, in fact, a necessity, to build a new form of Europe.
So she goes on to say they want to basically capitalize on this blockchain opportunity to advance Europe away essentially from the US dollar. There is a lot of avenues that people are looking at as far as growing out blockchain. And we talk about the different pilots and the CBDCs and all of these things that are happening on Ledger right now at this moment, considering where we were even 12 months ago is warp speed. It is ridiculous. And this is only accelerating. But the fact that all of this is coming out today from these multiple different governments, right? All at the same time, almost hand in hand, saying tokenization is the way. This is the way, Mandalorian style. Tokenization's coming. So do your research on your favorite tokenization assets. Let me know your favorite tokenization asset in the chat, because right now tokenization infrastructure is the buzzword, and we still have more to come. So let's see here. What do I have here? Oh, this was great. This was David Sachs. Okay. We still have more to come, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulty. Don't worry, I won't do it again. I'm fixing it right now. There we go. We have no technical difficulties this time.
A good compromise is everyone leaves a little bit unhappy, right? But I think what's going to happen is that after market structure passes, the banks are going to get fully into the crypto industry. So we're not going to have a separate banking industry and crypto industry. It's going to be one digital assets industry. And I think
will they be regulated
their opinions are going to evolve over time. And I bet you, over time, the banks like the idea of paying yield because they're going to be in the stablecoin business.
But will they also be regulated the same way? And I guess that's a big, I mean, the banks will say, hey, if they get to do all the same things we do, how come they don't get regulated the same way?
Well, I guess because they're offering slightly different products, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, everyone offering the same product should be regulated in the same way, and we want to get to that harmonization. A good compromise is
there's not going to be a banking industry and there's not going to be a crypto industry. There's going to be a digital asset industry. Who's going to be the first company to have full crypto and full banking, I wonder? I don't know. I know one of them is waiting for a bank charter, but we can see how this is playing out already, everyone. This is happening at warp speed, okay? You hear it from David Sachs. You hear it from senators. You hear it from foreign leaders. You're hearing it from, of course, Brad Garlinghouse. But Brad Garlinghouse went on to say even more. To tell you the truth, right here, crypto markets will reach an all-time high this year, says the Ripple CEO. Cryptocurrency markets will reach an all-time high this year. The CEO of one of the largest companies in the sector has told CNBC. I'm very bullish, and yes, I'm going on record saying I think we'll see an all-time high. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse told CNBC when was asked about the performance of the cryptocurrency this year. Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, hit an all-time high of around 126,000 in October and was trading at 89,000 as of Wednesday. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on Tuesday, Garlinghouse said regulatory changes such as the landmark Genius Act have unlocked a lot of activity. The Securities and Exchange Commission dropped a 4-year lawsuit against Ripple in March, which the crypto company spent $150 million fighting the SEC. The SEC had accused Ripple of raising $1.3 billion through the sale of its XRP token without registering it as a security. Ripple stands alone as the company that fought back and won essential legal questions. Ripple Chief Legal Officer Al Dittori told CNBC a statement March after the case concluded. The Genius Act passed in June sets guardrails for the industry such as full reserve backing and monthly audits. Garlinghouse said major financial institutions showing interest in crypto is a massive sea change. I don't think that's priced in the crypto market as much as I would have expected right now, he said. So he's saying that he does not think that the institutional interest is priced into the market right now. That is the most bullish thing I've heard anyone say. And my light jacked up. Let me fix that real quick because that's annoying as all hell. Hang on. There we go. All right. So we're looking at new all-time highs this year, according to the Ripple CEO. But this was essential. This was a massive thing too. DXC partners with Ripple to empower global banks with scalable digital asset custody. This is an under the radar partnership for Ripple. This is huge. Okay. So DXC integrates Ripple's institutional grade blockchain technology into its Hogan core banking system platform, which supports $5 trillion in deposits and 300 million accounts globally. Okay. This is able to link them into all of these customers without them having to change their infrastructure. They just automatically have access to Ripple's blockchain technology through DXC. Well, why does DXC matter? Well, we just told you 300 million accounts globally and 5 trillion deposits. Some of their big customers I went ahead and pulled up for you are Ferrari, Volkswagen, Lloyd's, JP Morgan, Fonds Depot. Let's see here. Christus Health, Bart's Health, lots of hospitals, right? Carnival Cruise Lines, United Airlines, Bridgestone, so on and so forth. AWS is partnered with DXC. You get the idea here. This is a major partnership that plugs Ripple into a lot of accounts. And when we're talking about their accounts, we always discuss the account set technology, or the account set activity, and how it's been ramping up over the last couple months, and we are seeing it translate into payments volume. Payments volume is maintaining above 1 million, and we want to see it push to that 2 million mark, but this is a good start for now. So as always, if you've been following the channel, we are here for the long view, right? Not what's happening necessarily today, tomorrow, or a week from now, but a year from now, 10 years from now, and on down the road. We're looking at infrastructure plays, both in crypto and in the real world, right? Copper, silver, gold, obviously. But infrastructure plays, alternative energies, things for the long view, things that are going to build out and solve problems tomorrow. That's where I base this on. So that's where I came up with Canton Network. That's why I'm involved with XRP. That's why I'm involved with Ondo. That's why I'm involved with HBAR, Chainlink, okay? What is your favorite tokenization or infrastructure token that you are following? I'm curious. I want to know. And what's the thought behind it? Why? What problem does it solve? So that's how I look at these things when I'm building out my thesis and building out my portfolio and my plan for the next 10 years. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm going to hop in and talk to some people in the chat here. Let's see. Let me check real quick, see how many people we got in the stream here. An error occurred. Please try again later. Hopefully, did I get kicked out? Am I still streaming? It says I'm still streaming. Huh. Can you guys still, can someone sign off in the chat? Let me know if you can still see me. It seems like it may have kicked out. That's weird. Whoa, what's going on with this stream? Okay, it's working. All right. That's very strange. Okay, let me get in the chat. I went to pull it up in the YouTube thing and it said it was errored out. It couldn't show me anything. So I thought I got disconnected and the chat went quiet. I don't know. But anyway, let's get in the chat. Let's talk to everybody here. Desiree said it is a crazy day. Alcoholic Click says, we back. Yeah, I had to come back on, man, with all the news that was coming out about, Clarity Act with senators and the president and all the videos come out with Larry Fink and then Brad coming out saying all-time highs. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of news today. So yeah, I wanted to bring out one more and get you guys all the info fresh. It was a crazy day, Desiree. Let's see here. So yes, all-time highs coming according to Brad G. Alcoholic Click. Ian says, Fink sounds nervous. I don't think he sounds too nervous. Honestly, I think he's ready to start pulling the switch. Like we've talked about, BlackRock does back the Canton Network. If you haven't seen the video, I suggest you check it out. But again, everyone do your own research. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's see here. Alcoholic Click says all-time highs times 2017 or above and beyond, Brad. Yeah, he didn't specify which one. That's why I was asking you guys, what do you think that means? How high do you think XRP goes this year? Because Brad's obviously bullish if he's willing to come out and say publicly that he thinks all-time highs will happen this year. Let's see here. Kenny says, hopefully they come back with a better market structure bill. We definitely don't want the Dems and Elizabeth Warren running the show. Otherwise, this space is done. And I think that's kind of the leverage that they're using with Coinbase right now is that, okay, well, if you don't push this through now, then you guys are totally screwed, after midterms. That's why I think they'll find a way to get it done before midterms, because the crypto companies want it done, the legislation wants it done, the administration wants it done. Because remember, our administration is not going to be able to get it done after midterms more than likely. Trump's making a lot of money. At least his family's making a ton of money in the crypto industry. Follow the money. He wants this stuff written into law right now so he can take his money and ride off into the sunset when his term is over. My opinion, not financial advice. But I mean, his company's already made $1.4 billion since he's been in office in crypto. Do the math, follow the money, read the tea leaves, not financial advice. Alcoholic Click says, where is Canton? Not on CMC. I'm not sure all the exchanges it's on. I know you can get it through Caleb and Brown. And I believe you can get it off of MX, maybe KuCoin. But I know you can get it on Caleb and Brown. That's the best advice I can give there. And I messed up the sound. Sorry about that. Ian said in Germany, they call this Saintness Ursula von der Leyen instead of Lean Lugan. In Germany means, okay, so they don't like her at all, huh? They don't like her at all in Germany. Let's see here. All right, still on. Raul says, any news on H-bar been low for some time now? I mean, the entire market's been low for some time now, honestly. Again, if we want to look back at the entire market, let's see. Let's look at the year, right? So for the year, H-bar is down 67%, Ondo's down 75%, Velo's down 77%, VeChain 78%, Cardano 63%. So, I mean, Flare 65%, XLM 51%. Everything is down right now. Unfortunately, it's not just H-bar. But when I look at a market like this signals to me buying opportunity. But that's just me. Do your research and have your conviction. But even some of the blue chip ones, like, and I say blue chip as in your top 5, right? Your blue chips like XRP, Solana, Ethereum. Where's it? I mean, those are XRP's down almost 40% for the last 12 months. Solana's down 48%. Where's Ethereum on here? I don't even see Ethereum on here. I mean, Bitcoin's down 15% in the last 24 months. So nothing is doing well. It's not just H-bar. It's just the crypto market in general right now because of the risk on asset problems. Now, also too, with price today, tariffs, the tariff threat on the EU, that was ended, and that brought comfort back to risk on assets as well. Again, the markets do not like uncertainty. So when that tariff noise was happening over Greenland and the EU and stuff like that, that hurt the markets, and that was rolled back today. So that helped the markets. It's all a dog and pony show. That's why we're in it for the long view. Stephen Haynes says, I have to find a place to buy CC. Price is too good to pass up, and it's a BlackRock product. Now, I did not say it was a BlackRock product. I said that BlackRock backed the company, Digital Asset, who created the blockchain. A lot of people have backed Digital Asset. If you go and watch the video, I did a video. It's literally 7 minutes. It tells you everyone who's backed them, how much money went into it, who came in later, how BlackRock and Blackstone is involved, all that. Please go watch it. But then do your own research on top of it before you make any investment. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's see here. But if you do decide you want to get it, again, the only place I have successfully been able to see where you can get it is through Caleb and Brown. But other people are saying it's on Uphold, and I know it is on other places as well, but that's the only place I've messed with it. Resident says HBAR is great, don't get enough attention. HBAR is a fantastic product. HBAR is in my core top 5. I have my top 5 infrastructure plays, my 5 pillars as far as crypto goes, and that is XRP, Canton Network, Ondo, Chainlink, and HBAR. Them 5. Them's my top 5 right now. And then I have my dart throws, but I like to have my 5 that I can invest into with full conviction. And I got rid of Bitcoin earlier or later in the year last year. I started cycling out of Bitcoin, and now I have replaced it with Canton. Not saying that's what anyone should do, but I lost faith in Bitcoin. I actually started selling it when it was like 115,000, and rolled it into Canton. So it worked out well for me. But that's what I've been talking about for the last month was Canton Network and kind of easing you guys into it. But there's really not a lot of discussion on it. And again, do your own research. But truthfully, there's not a lot to find out there right now. I think it's very, very under discussed. Let's see here. You may call me AC for short. Okay, AC works. Let's see here. Resident B says all-time highs would be awesome this year, but will those prices actually hold or just dump again? Well, I think if we get all-time highs again this year, it's going to be for entirely different purposes. It'll be based on adoption and utility, not just FOMO, really. I mean, truthfully, because that's what drove the all-time high last year, right? Was FOMO. That was the only reason it got up that high. So I do believe that if it does appreciate to an all-time high, there's going to have some utility backing. But because we watch it every day and we track it every day and we track the news and we track the ledger activity and we track all of those things, because of that, we're going to be able to see if it's FOMO. We're going to be able to see if it's backed with ledger activity. We're going to be able to see what's being held in the ETFs. We have a whole plethora of data that we've been tracking over the last 4 months that we can look for changes and how it affects things. That's why we build out these models and correct and adjust as we go so we can have a better determination of what's going to happen. They're never going to be perfect, but as we track it for the long view, it starts to paint a much clearer picture because you've seen it before, right? That's the entire purpose of building out the math models and using stats and numbers that we can track instead of wishes, hopes, and dreams of $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever number you want to throw out there in pixie dust. We build a system that we can build for the long view. So 10 years from now, when we look back and we can retire and people say we got lucky, we can say, no, we took our time. We built it the right way. Again, not financial advice. Let's see here. Raul says, trust me, I've been buying the lows. Desiree DeBella says, HBAR is in my top 3. Good for you. Good for you. Logan Thorpe says, for price stability, people will be buying like crazy. Well, yeah, if it hits all-time highs again, I mean, there's going to be a combination of everything. There's going to be a combination of FOMO. There's going to be a combination of institutional adoption. There's going to be, I mean, utility, right? Network ability, all of those things. Interoperability. That was one thing I didn't even touch on today. Oh my goodness. The buzzwords, the buzzwords that were spoken at Davos today. Oh my God. It was tokenization, interoperability, of course, stablecoin yield, regulation, and then trust. No, we don't trust the big banks. Absolutely not. Watching Larry Fink talk about people not trusting the elites was the most hilarious thing I've seen in a long time. Dude, your company controls 1/3 of the assets in the world. Hell no, we don't trust you. He could sink the entire economy if he wants. I think BlackRock has more of an impact on the global economy than the Fed. My opinion. If they screw up, holy crap, we're in trouble, man, because it's not just BlackRock, this the companies they own on top of it too, like Blackstone, which is like the real, like the realty portion of it. And they do some shady stuff, man. Like there was one I heard, I don't know if it was Blackstone, but it was a company like Blackstone. The places, so they bought a big chunk of land, built a whole development, right, a whole subdivision, and they go out and they hire contractors, and they do these cookie cutter properties, right, and build out a whole development. Well, instead of selling them when they become available, they'll let them sit, and then they'll sell 3 of them to another company that they hold for like $200,000 or $300,000 higher than the list price of what they actually are. But now there's 3 sales in the area of a higher price. So now they have their comps of a higher price. So now they get all of those properties reappraised and increase them all by however many hundreds of thousands of dollars they just did. And they just freaking print money. And they wonder why we have a problem with housing. Come on, man. They do some shady stuff out there. Anyway, back to crypto. Forgive my little rant about how corrupt real estate is and how companies like Blackstone and these things just freaking print money. But let me know what you guys think in chat. Alcoholic Click says, do we dollar cost average in until 2033? Am I the only one thinking we are entering some difficult times? I mean, it's not about moving in size. I mean, the entire premise of investing is to invest as what you can as early as you can over time, but not to put yourself into a situation where you're going to have to pull it back out, because otherwise you're just defeating the purpose. It's about creating a system that you can build in over time, regardless of what year it is. It shouldn't change. If you believe XRP, just to give an example, if you believe XRP is going to be $1,000 in 2033, then you should invest in it until 2033. It's guaranteed appreciation to you. Now, I understand that's a very broad stroke as far as explaining it, and we are going to be entering some very difficult times. But when we enter difficult times, that is typically the best time for opportunity. So we can't change our reality. We can't change whatever situation we're dealt. We can't, unfortunately. That is our reality. Life is what it is. And we'll have to make the best out of that situation, whatever it may be for you or for me or for whoever else. But the whole point of it is to build a system that, regardless of how things play out, it's just continuous. So nothing should shake it, regardless of how difficult the times get. Now, again, everyone's situation is different. Believe me. I haven't been able to dollar cost average in recently, other than what I got rid of in my Bitcoin investment, because I've been on disability for the last 6 months. So I haven't been able to dollar cost average in as much as I would like. So, I mean, the situation is going to change for everyone. You have to adjust on the fly. That's just life. So Win Moon. All right, Win Moon. Win Moon. Let's zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. Win Moon. Moon will be when on the 1 week chart, we flip EMA 9 with volume. That is Win Moon. And we are building a nice little compression wedge right here between our floor that we've set right around the $1.75 to the $1.77 level and this falling chain here. So if this continues to consolidate, it's going to have to break one way or another. And every time that EMA 9 on the 1 week chart with XRP gets broken with volume, we get major moves. You can see it clear as day throughout the history of XRP. So if you want to know Win Moon, that's what you want to be looking at. The 1 week chart, EMA 9. If we push through this with some serious volume and close above it with a second candle, now that's the thing. If you look at these moves, I mean, you won't have it confirmed until you're on an 80% run. But this is what we're looking at for a push through volume. We got pump faked over here. We got pump faked right over here when we busted through the 240. So if you want to know when moon for XRP, that's your signal. It's that easy. And you can look at it throughout history of the ledger. You can go all the way back here and really zoom in if you want, and you can see the same kinds of activity. So something to look for if you want to know when moon. We covered, all right, quick recap for everyone. That was fun. Let me know in chat, sign off in chat if you guys are here. Let's keep it rolling on a Wednesday night. There's not much else going on. Looks like we got about, 25 people in the stream or so, I'm hoping. Let's see. Recap. Currently, we had outflows yesterday for XRP ETFs, the second day of outflows that it had, with 28.6 million coming out of the ETFs, dropping the total down to 780 million. We discuss the ETF supply shock model as far as what would actually happen with XRP being held in ETFs. You can take a look for yourself as far as a realistic supply shock model. We need to get to, if we're going to have any kind of real appreciation, we need to get beyond 2 billion XRP held in ETFs if you want to have anything to do with this. But this is more of a realistic model than some of the other supply shock things that were pitched before. And this can still be a little bit aggressive, to be honest with you, but this is based in math. But I do feel it might be a little aggressive, but then again, I could be wrong. It is just based in the math and transaction volume and activity on the ledger, as well as what's being pulled into the ETFs and how rapidly they are, etc. So that is the closest model I've been able to come up with, and it's been accurate so far. We did have our 20 to 40% increase when we hit our first level from the original model before we updated it, but we've had outflows since then. Things have been kind of stagnant right around that 780 range. So we've been talking about the overall market for the last year and the excellent buying opportunities we have on a lot of these options, but we also talk about our crypto plays, our infrastructure plays. I discuss my 5 pillars. Everyone do your own research. But my 5 pillars are XRP, Canton Network, Ondo, HBAR, and Chainlink. There's several other good ones out there. I hold other cryptos, but they're more dart throws. But my 5 pillars that I invest in are those 5 because of the infrastructure, adoption, and real world use cases for the long term. Tokenization was the buzzword of the World Economic Forum. We discussed it ad nauseum. I've done 2 streams today. The first one covered the panel with Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, with the BIS, with Standard Charter, and with Brad Garlinghouse in it. But we also went through and we covered what Trump said as far as wanting to get the Clarity Act done, and he expects to have it done soon. We covered Eleanor Tourette talking about that banking is still holding on their markup, but the Senate Ag is expected to move forward with their vote next week. So we are having progress on the Clarity Act market structure bill. Will it be done by the end of Q1? I'm going to give it a 25% chance that it's done by the end of Q1. I think it's going to be done before midterms. I think they will push it across the finish line before midterms. BlackRock comes in and says that the world must move faster towards tokenization. Tokenization was the buzzword. They also discussed when we were looking at that panel in Europe that they need to advance in Europe with their tokenization and their efforts with cryptocurrency innovation, or they're going to get left behind. So we can expect Europe to accelerate much quicker behind crypto as well. Everything is ramping up at warp speed. If you guys want access to all of this, I retweet it. Follow me on X. It's Longview Crypto. You can watch the full videos. This annual meeting right here that we watched this morning, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was 49 minutes long. So if you want to get all of the information, follow me on X. You can get it there. And that's where I also follow people like Paul Barron, the World Economic Forum. I cover everything. We are in it for the long view, not what crypto is today or tomorrow, but what it's going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. So we have to understand the infrastructure and how these rails are building out so we can position ourselves on the correct rail and catch the wave, because we want our money to appreciate too. And we are early to this space. Everything's in its infancy. This is the infancy stage of adoption. Utility isn't even going yet, really. They're talking about pilots and all these things right now, but we can see the activity starting to come on Ledger, at least for XRP. But Larry Fink talking about he wants everything tokenized on one ledger. Which one is that going to be? I mean, if Larry Fink has his way, his company, I mean, he's the chairman of the World Economic Forum and he's the CEO of BlackRock. That's way too much power for one person, man. I swear. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Are you concerned about your privacy? Are you concerned about your security? That's something that people aren't talking about in all of this. Everyone wants number to go up. But let's not forget what also comes along with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And that is our personal privacy and our personal security. When we're talking about CBDCs and digital IDs, we all want number to go up. But are you protecting yourself as well? How are you securing your crypto? Are you using institutional custody? Are you using a cold storage wallet? Are you using warm wallets? What are you guys doing? Let me know. I want to see what this community is really looking forward to. But that's everything I've got for you guys. The chat has gone quiet on me. It doesn't look like anyone else wants to talk anymore. How many people we got in the stream? We got 31 people in the stream. Let's not turn it off yet. Stay in. Let's keep it going. Sign off in the chat. Give me questions. Let's have some questions. Keep it going, guys. Keep the stream rolling. Oh, no. People are dying out now. All right. We should probably call it then. We're down to 25 and it's dropping fast. And no one's still signing off in the chat, so darn. Oh, Desiree's still here. Well, it's still saying there's 25 people in here. I don't have anything better to do on a Wednesday night. I mean, hit me up with questions, though. I have a lot of regulars in here. Let's chat. Let's go for it. Let's have an XRP hangout. As long as we keep over 20 people in here, I will keep going. I am excited today because we have Brad talking about new all-time highs. Canton Network is doing fantastic. We can talk more about tokenization. We can talk more about what's going on in YouTube. I see a couple of people followed me while I was streaming, so that's always a bonus. But I mean, what are you guys? Here you go. Since I'm just really mainly just hanging out here with the regulars, what kind of content are you guys looking for other than just what I've been doing, obviously? Let's see. State Department has recognized official American headquarters on the Davos. Huh, interesting. All right, there's some kind of U.S. headquarters on Davos Promenade. But we're under 20 people now. I'll answer John Beal's question and I'll get out of here for the day, I think. Let me take a look here. Let me pull this back up so I can see. All right. John Beal said some on cold wallets, some in institutional custody, and a little bit on exchanges. Okay. I mean, I think that seems pretty standard for most people. I might be a little overboard with my 3 cold wallets. And I've got one locked in I've got one of them locked in a in a safety deposit box. Fishing with Vasquez says, hang on, I skipped over Stephen Haynes. Stephen Haynes, do you think CC is the reason why BlackRock hasn't gotten into the XRP ETF game? It's a very good possibility. I mean, I think BlackRock's definitely setting the stage before they go all in on whatever they're going to go all in on. I know they have their Bitcoin ETF, but with how involved they are in tokenization, they have been very, very quiet in what they're investing in as far as in the blockchain. They're going to get their piece. How they're going to be involved is the question. And that's why when I saw that they had some backing in Canton Network, it leaned me in that direction because I know they are heavy into tokenization And Canton Network does everything that BlackRock wants to do on blockchain. My opinion, not financial advice. Fishing with Vasquez says, what are your thoughts on XRPL domain? Long-awaited permission domains with 28 yes votes is in 2-week activation period. What do you know? Be honest with you, I haven't really looked into the domain because I've been stretched kind of thin. I've been looking so much on the Canton network. I haven't really looked at the domain as far as the permissions and stuff like that being actually changed on Ledger. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'm going to look more into it. I haven't researched it to give you a good answer, and I don't want to look like a fool. So sometimes the best answer is, I don't know. On the Atlantic, did anyone hear if China bought some XRP? No, I didn't hear if China bought some XRP, but I do know they're pushing their digital yuan really hard, and they're going to be offering yield on it. And the question is, what ledger is that going to end up on? But when we're talking about all the tokenization, that was really exciting today. We heard about digital yuan, digital euro, the digital pound, right? All these other digital currencies are going to start coming on Ledger. Again, for XRP to be fully utilized as a bridge, it needs things to bridge between, like tokenized real estates, tokenized money markets, right? They talked a lot about cross-border payments today during that panel, right? It was brought up quite a few times by the guy from the BIS. So all of it's coming to fruition. All the buzzwords we've been talking about, they're hammering it out at scale. I think this is the year we're going to start seeing stable coins really at scale, and we'll see interoperability and build outs of blockchains and ledger technology this year. And then full utility will start probably turning on into this year, maybe next year. But with adoption starting to really start scaling throughout the end of the year. My opinion, not financial advice, but I think that's kind of a realistic timeline of how this might play out. Let's see here. Bert says, not financial advice, I know, but would you personally take a loan from a bank to purchase XRP? No, I would not. Just being honest with you, I would not. Debt to me is your first root of evil. Like, you shouldn't have debt, in my opinion. In my opinion, I wouldn't invest in crypto while I had debt, with the exception of a mortgage, because I don't really factor in mortgage as a debt because the value of the asset carries more than the value of the debt. And it appreciates faster than the interest rate. Because my interest rate was like 2.8%. I'm literally in talks for closing on my house right now. I'm selling my house, but my interest rate was at like 2.8%. So, and my house was appreciating about, 10% a year. So that, to me, that's not really a loan. Cause real estate, it has something that physically backs it. And if you're just taking out a loan from a bank, more than likely you're looking at a standard loan of probably 10 to 11%. So that means you're going to have to pull better than 11% return. Now, is that very likely? Yeah, I believe it's likely, but I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it. Keep in mind, these are risk-on assets. I will be the first to tell you, they're risk-on assets. What I would suggest is building a strategy to invest over time. It's not about moving in. I know people have been talking about recently about moving in with size and catching these big moves. More people get wrecked trying to win that way than people actually make money. In order for people to get rich that way, a lot of people have to lose. Okay? Think about that. In order for one person to get rich that way, 15 people have to lose that way. The odds are not in your favor, my friend. That is a massive risk. I would not recommend that. Not with good conscience. And I will call that financial advice. Let's see here. All right. Resident B said, why do some Bitcoin maxis hate on XRP so much? Do they have an agenda? No, it's because I think a lot of that came from the beginning narratives of XRP. was that it was the whole slogan back in like the early days, 2015, 2016, was it was designed to be a better Bitcoin. It was a better alternative to Bitcoin because it's not proof of work, right? You don't have to spend all this energy to mine it. It's, you know, it's green and green friendly. So, and it could be controlled and be better used to bridge traditional finance. So there was in the very beginning of blockchain technology, right, in the early like 2014, 2015, 2016, it was a constant battle of which blockchain was going to win, right? Like it wasn't an idea that multiple were going to win. People are still floating around the idea of the Bitcoin standard and, you know, Bitcoin being the prominent definition of money. But that's where a lot of that came from, was that XRP was designed and marketed as a better Bitcoin when it first came out. And I just think the narrative never died, to be honest with you. Omni Atlantic says, I would never take a loan from the bank as they short and you are. Okay. Right. Don't take loans. Think Japan. Okay. Omni says, any info on Flare as a good future buy? I like Flare. I hold some Flare. Again, not financial advice. But I do know Flare is really, really building out and has major, we were talking about this earlier in the stream earlier today, that Flare is really building out and has major players coming in to build out more yield for XRP. I pulled up a video. I was on the Paul Barron network, where he was speaking to the CEO, I believe, of Flare. But you can check it out. Just look up Paul Barron and Flare Network. He had a recent one. They go really, really in depth in it. But I do think it's a good buy. Again, not financial advice, but do your own research. And if it's something you want to hold for the long term. But I also think it's cool too that their airdrops are ending, right? So a lot of the current price now has been with all this airdrop supply going into the market. So this constant feed of supply of Flare just going for free into the market is driving or keeping the price lower. All those airdrops are about to stop, or I think they have stopped now. And that'll impact, I think, the price too over the rest of the year as demand comes into play. Again, my opinion. Stephen Haynes says, I wonder if BlackRock could roll out a CC ETF. I mean, they could. I think, again, they would. I think they're going to wait for clarity. But if they roll out a CC ETF before anything else, after what we've talked about, then I better have 1 million subscribers. we better get CC out far and wide before that happens. Yeah, no one's really talking about CC. Maybe I need to bring up, maybe I've missed my calling. I've been talking mainly about XRP, but when I started talking about the other infrastructure plays like the Canton networks and HBARs and Copper, right? Remember Copper surged after I talked about it? After we went, I talked about it, and then like 2 weeks later it surged. Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really growing out since I've got into the other stuff. So maybe I should start bringing up the HBARs and the chain links and the Ondos and the Canton networks. But yeah, if BlackRock comes in and does a Canton network ETF before they do an XRP or a Solana one or something like that, I think that's interesting. We'll see though. We're keeping an eye out on that. Let's see here. Alcoholic Click says, or AC, excuse me. AC says, what cold wallet would the crowd in here advise? And it's TBE, same as crypto payment card. Oh, so you're wanting like a card type thing? I'm not too advanced in that. The only cold wallet stuff that I use, I have a air-gapped ledger that's sitting in a box somewhere. And then I have, oh God, what's my other one? Trezor. So I have my Ledger and my Trezor wallets, and then I also have the LEPAL, whatchamacallit? Shit, hang on. The LA Pal Titan air gapped wallet. I just got that. They sent me that. So that's where I'm sitting with my cold storage wallets. John Beal says, thank you for your service you provide us. Really appreciate it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I also am a disabled veteran as well, so I served there as well. But you're very, very welcome. I'm glad you guys enjoy the content. I'm glad it's helping you all. Hopefully it's providing a clearer path, and hopefully we're growing this thing out far and wide to try and cut through all the hype and the noise and the nonsense and build out a real plan that can help people in the long term, for the long view, as Brad likes to start saying right now, right? The long view of crypto. Quelly is back in the house. Hello again, Quelly. Welcome, welcome. Fishing with Vasquez says BlackRock will not mention XRP. What are your thoughts? I've always had a feeling that there's an NDA issue with Ripple and BlackRock. That's just been my opinion, because they've always had, like you've said, they've had those, like, there's been those little video bites and sound bites in the past where they've had their little chuckle and they're like, I'm not going to talk about that. Like, that's well documented on the internet. So, I mean, I definitely think there's something there for sure, probably some kind of NDA on why they can't discuss it. Just my opinion. Let's see here. Omni Atlantic says, what's happening with stablecoin yields? So what's happening with stablecoin? It's just posturing. It's negotiation. The banks don't want to give up stablecoin yields because they don't want the competition. Truthfully, Brian Armstrong's fighting against it because stablecoin yield is one of the main things that pay Coinbase, Robinhood, and all these people is the stablecoin yields, right? If you hold your stablecoin with them, you get so many %, right? Banks don't want that because they want you to get your 1% on your savings account so they can make that 3%, right? So right now, that's where we're sitting at with that. So there's going to be a negotiation. Neither one of them is going to be happy, but I do believe they're going to push through the market structure bill and they will come to a conclusion, a compromise on stablecoin yields before midterms, because they're going to want to get the bill done before them, because the last thing they want is for this to get pushed out into beyond midterms once the House and the Senate get all split up. And then if it goes to another administration, we could lose all the gains we've had with crypto. So I really don't think they're going to push it beyond midterms. Again, that's just my opinion, but based on how things are playing out, looking at the discussions and looking at what Brian Armstrong came out and said today, remember he's walking back a lot of his statements. I think they're going to figure it out. They're back at the negotiating table. Senators are talking. I think it gets done before midterms. Israel Rodriguez said, what is your understanding of Flare? So Flare is a blockchain basically used to help out other blockchains, but they are actually primarily building around XRP and XRPL to wrap XRP and introduce it into DeFi. A lot of people are concerned that Flare is going to go down as more things are rolled out natively on XRPL. And that is a concern. That's why we do our research. But there is a chance for an appreciation with Flare because they're going to be stopping their airdrops. Pretty much, I think they just did their last one. Don't quote me on that. But Flare also too, I can't remember exactly the name of it. You have to go back. You can go back and watch it. It was on the Paul Bear Network. They did an interview with the Flare CEO, but they have like billions and billions and billions of dollars of an investment coming in for XRPL or to wrap XRP. So they are really, really growing out the DeFi on Flare. I strongly suggest if you are interested in Flare to look at Paul Bear Network's interview with the CEO from Flare and get that information. It is huge. Raul says he uses Decent. 28 people in the stream. Okay, hopefully it's still growing. I'm almost through the chat, so if you got questions, let me know what you think. Are you here for infrastructure? What's your favorite token that you're following right now? Is it XRP? Is it something else? Deuce's Life says, what's going on with CC? Canton Network. Everyone's starting to find me for CC. I love it. Let's see here. So what's going on with Canton Network? Well, Canton Network is doing great. We started talking about Canton Network at the beginning of the month in stream. I just put a video out a couple days on it a couple days ago, talking about it a lot more in depth. I suggest you watch it, but Canton Network's up 66% for the month. It is backed by major players, including JP Morgan, Goldman, maybe not JP Morgan, excuse me, including Goldman Sachs. Here, let me just do this real quick. Canton's price right now is currently at 14 cents, almost 15 cents. Let me do this for you here. Let me go to YouTube. And again, Canton Network, some of their, that's DXC. Never mind. Hang on. Let me pull this up for you real quick. We'll go to YouTube. YouTube. I don't know why it's going to someone else's page. Home. There we go. Oh, Camilla Stevens is live right now. Let's see. Maybe one of these times she'll reach out to me. I've reached out to her a few times and she hasn't, whatever. But that's all right. It's hard. Why is it not showing me my videos? I want my videos. There we go. My videos. Okay. So here, I'll just show you this. So this is who's involved with it. Paxos, Citi, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, the New York Stock Exchange. Like, there are so many people, the DTCC, Citadel Securities, many others are involved in the Canton Network as far as major players. I strongly suggest you watch this video. It's only about 7 minutes long. It'll give you the information that you're looking for. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research, but it's one I definitely am investing in. Omni says, Zebek, Axelar, XLM are your favorite coins. Okay. I've heard a lot about Axelar as far as tokenization goes. But again, you can only invest in so many things, so you have to pick the ones that you are most confident in and commit to it. Resident B says, there is a lot of XRP content on YouTube, which I like, but I do think there is a demand for other altcoin content that doesn't have as much present. HBAR, Flare, XLM. Okay. Well, I mean, and I guess that kind of works out for me because XRP is a major component of what I do. It's my primary, it holds the most weight in my crypto portfolio, if you will, but it's not the only thing. To me, it's about building out infrastructure for the long view, right? What's going to be needed over the next 10 years and placing ourselves in position early for it to build out. Because a lot of people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and completely underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. Wealth is a mindset. Broke people make broke people decisions. Rich people make rich people decisions. You have to learn your lessons so you can grow and move forward. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. And I probably just put about 10 great one-liners in a row for you there. I need to end on that. No, I'm just joking. But that's a sign off if I've ever had one. Those are a bunch of great one-liners right there. But yeah, I agree with you, Resident B. And I'll probably will bring more of that content in for everyone because I think it's better to have a overall broad view as opposed to just investing everything into one asset. It's how people lose. That's how people get wrecked. And I don't want to see that for you all. I'm trying to present a different way, honestly. That is the goal. Well, guys, I think that's about it. I am out of info. The chat has run dry. It was all right. We got up to about 40 or 50 people, 40 people in here at one point today. But I'm going to call it for the evening. That's 2 streams today. I appreciate every single one of you. If you are new and you came in new, I stream every single day at noon, Monday through Friday. I'll catch you guys on the next one, okay? Later.